कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिन्निति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे वंदेहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरोन् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवम् साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौरभक्त हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे श्रीमद्भाग ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ज्ञानांजनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं नहीं श्रीमद् भागवतम कैंटो 3 चैप्टर 11 टेक्स्ट नंबर 32 kindly repeat after me antha satasmin salila आस्ते नन्तासनो हरिः योगनिद्रा निमीलाक्षः स्तूयमानो जनालये तस्मिन् सलिला आस्ते नन्तासनो हरिः योगनिद्रा निमीलाक्षः स्तूयमानो जलानये अन्तसतस्मिन् सलिला आस्ते नन्तासनो हरिः योगमनिद्रा निमीलाक्षः स्तूयमानो जनालये अन्तस्तस्मिन् सलिला आस्ते नन्तासनो हरिः योगनिद्रा निमीलाक्षः स्तूयमानो जनालये अन्तस्तस्मिन् सलिला आस्ते नन्तासनो हरिः योगनिद्रा निमीलाक्षः स्तूयमानो जनालये अन्तस्तस्मिन् सलिला आस्ते नन्तासनो हरिः योगनिद्रा निमीलाक्षः स्तूयमानो जनालये
अन्तः स तस्मिन् सलिला
Anante Nantasano Harihi Yoganidra Nilakshaha Stuyamano Janalaye. Anyone else? Anta satasmin salila Aste Nantasano Harihi Yoganidrani Milakshaha Tuyamano Janalaye. Within Saha, that, Tasmin, in that, Salile, water, Aste, there is, Ananta, Ananta, Asanaha, on the seat of, Harihi, the Lord, Yoga, mystic, Nidra, sleep, Nimila Akshaha, eyes closed, Stuyamanaha, being glorified, Jana Alayai, by the inhabitants of the Janaloka planets. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Translation. The Supreme Lord, the Personality of Godhead, lies down in the water on the seat of Ananta with His boy. Sorry, just a minute, what is happening? The Supreme Lord, the Personality of Godhead, lies down in the water on the seat of Ananta with His eyes closed, and the inhabitants of Janaloka planets offer their glorious prayers unto the Lord with folded hands. Purport. We should not understand the sleeping condition of the Lord to be the same as our sleep. Here the word Yoga Nidra is specifically mentioned, which indicates that Lord's sleeping condition is also a manifestation of His internal potency. Whenever the word yoga is used, it should be understood to refer to that which is transcendental. In the transcendental stage, all activities are always present and they are glorified by the prayers of the great sages like Braghu. Hare Krishna. So we are in the third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam in our regular classes here. So 11th chapter, calculation of time from the atom. And we saw here in this chapter that according to Jyotish Shastra and Vedic understanding of time. So now, Pralaya, at the end of the day of Brahma, destruction of the worlds, at the end of the day of Brahma is being discussed. And so after, when all these lower lokas submerge in water, so Vishnu, Lord Vishnu, so he sleeps on the seat of Ananta. So his serpent bed, Ananta Shesha. So when he lies down, sleeps in half closed eyes, the inhabitants of Janaloka, they offer their prayers to the Lord. And here in the purport, Srila Prabhupada, he explains that this sleep is not the sleep of ordinary conditioned souls. So generally, externally, when we see, it appears that Lord is also performing some ordinary humanly activities. But he is always transcendental. Generally, Mayavadis, they consider when Lord descends in this world, they consider him to be appearing, being influenced by Maya. He appears by taking a form which is made up of mode of goodness, which is one of the three qualities of the material nature, sattva, raja and tama. So it is satoguna. So his form is made up of satoguna, they say. But it is not true, because Lord appears in his original transcendental form. He is always a master of material energy. He is never subjected to material influence. So if he is also subjected to material influence, how is that by doing devotional service to him that we will also become free from the influence of material energy? Like in Bhagavad Gita 7th chapter 15th verse, Krishna says that those who surrender unto me, they become free from the influence of Maya. Daivi esha gunamayi mama maya duratteya mameva ye prapadyante mayametam tarantite. So those who surrender unto Krishna, they become free from the influence of Maya, or they transcend Maya. Or in the 11th chapter, in the 14th chapter, last verse, Mam chayo vebicharini bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samatitaitan brahma bohaya kalpate. When Arjuna asked Krishna that how to transcend these three modes of material nature, because 14th chapter is three modes of material nature. How to transcend these three modes of material nature? Krishna answers that by engaging in avyabhicharini, unalloyed devotional service. So one will easily transcend these three modes of material nature. So those who surrender or those who are engaged in devotional service, they also transcend the three modes of material nature. Then how is that Lord is under the three modes of material nature? That is not possible. So Lord's qualities and his activities, because qualities and activities, so they are transcendental. In the material world, all the qualities and activities are according to these three gunas, sattva, raja and tamaguna. Now, so Mayavadis, they always try to negate the qualities of Krishna, and they describe him as nirguna, so that he has no qualities. Brahman, Brahma is absolute truth is nirakar, nirvishesh, nirgun. So the word nirgun, so that word comes in the Shastra, nirgun, that he doesn't have, but that means he doesn't have material qualities. Nirgun doesn't mean that he doesn't have qualities at all. So nirgun should be understood that he is free from material qualities, three gunas, but he has his own transcendental qualities. Similarly, arupam word comes. Arupam means no form, but we should understand that it is not that he has no form, he has no material form. That is how it should be understood. So like Prabhupada in 7th chapter Bhagavad Gita 7th verse, he quoted one verse from Shvetashvatara Upanishad, which has a word arupam, but again from the same Shvetashvatara Upanishad, Prabhupada quotes that how he is a Purusha, transcendental personality. So in this way there are such words in the Shastra, but they should be understood in a proper way. It's not that we make up some theory. So Lord is always transcendental, and he has transcendental qualities, and his activities are also transcendental. One of the most important verses in Srimad Bhagavatam is famously known as Atma Rama verse. Atma Ramascha Munayo Nirgrantyapya Urukrame kurvantya haitu kim bhaktim itam bhuta guno hari. So this verse is a famous verse. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave more than 60 meanings to this verse when he was discussing with Sanatana Goswami. And he explained this verse in 2 times. If you read Chaitanya Charitamrita or hear from Chaitanya Charitamrita, we come to know that first he elaborated or explained this to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. Later, Sanatana Goswami, he reminded the Lord that I heard that you explained this verse Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. I would like to hear the explanation. That time recordings were not there, that you hear the recorded lecture or recorded conversation. So again Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had to explain, but he explained more elaborately. First time I think he gave 18 meanings, and later again he gave more than 60 meanings. And all were glorifying Krishna as transcendental and super excellence of his devotional service. So it's a very famous verse. A big book can be written on just explaining that verse. That verse was basically in response. That verse was spoken by Suta Goswami. It is in the 7th chapter of 1st canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. So that was spoken in response to spoken by Suta Goswami in response to Shaunaka's question that why did Shukadeva Goswami take trouble to study such a vast literature, Srimad Bhagavatam? Because generally this question has a deep meaning. So generally those who are books are what? They are filled with name, form, activities, nama, rupa, guna, etc. So whenever we speak about nama, rupa, guna, so people consider them to be nama, rupa, guna of this material world. And nama, rupa, guna of material world, guna and activities also, karyas. So activities means they are products of material false ego. So material false ego manifests in the form of nama, rupa, guna, karya, etc. Of this material world. And material world is filled with these things because of the egos of conditioned souls. So transcendence means, or absolute truth means, or going into spiritual realm or self-realization means is going beyond the name, forms and activities of this material world. Going beyond the world of name, forms and activities of this world. So that is a general understanding of spirituality or transcendence. Therefore, Shukadeva Shaunaka Rishi and others, they asked this question. And for beginners in spiritual life, they don't have realization that there are transcendental name, forms, qualities and activities also. So beginners means they would be generally negating material name, form, activities and qualities, etc. So that is what their conception of spirituality or transcendental self-realization. So that is why Shaunaka Rishi asked this question, why he took so much trouble. And because Shukadeva Goswami is already a self-realized soul, so why he has to take trouble to read such a vast literature filled with name, form, qualities and activities, etc. So Then in answer to that, Suta Goswami, he spoke this verse. He said that because Lord's active, basically, he says, Atma Ramanscha Munayo. Already those who are self-satisfied, self-realized souls. Self-satisfied here means those who only take pleasure in self. They don't take pleasure in the name, form, qualities and activities of this world. Actually. So they are called Atma Rama Muni. So such Munis also they so hear about the transcendental qualities and activities of the Lord. Atma Ramasya Munayo Nirgrantyapya Urukrame Kurvantya Heitu Kim Bhaktim Itam Bhuta Guno Harihi. Though they also engage in transcendental activities. Atma Rama Nirgrantyapi Urukrame. Urukrama, the transcendental, the Lord who performs superhuman activities. Urukrama. Tremendous. So he performs extraordinary activities. He is called as Urukrama. So for example, Vamana Deva, he is expanding his steps to cover the entire universe. He is considered as so he is an extraordinary activity. Therefore, especially Vamana Deva, he is addressed as Urukrama. So, or Trivikrama, Urukrama and Trivikrama. Trivikrama means in 3 steps he covered the entire universe. So, therefore, he is Trivikrama. So, Trivikrama is called as that particular form of the Lord, Vamana Deva. When he is dwarf, he is not called as Urukrama, but when he expands himself, so expands his steps, he is called as Urukrama. So that form is there, Trivikrama and Urukrama. Anyway, so Kurvantya Hetu Kim Bhaktim, they also engage in transcendental devotion. Itam Bhuta Guno Harihi. So they understand that Lord's qualities are transcendental, Lord's activities are transcendental, therefore they hear and chant about His qualities and activities. So basically that verse, even if the great personality is like, so those who are Atma Rama Munis, they also read about, hear about the transcendental qualities and activities of the Lord. That shows that Lord's qualities are not material. And His activities are not material, they are transcendental. That is the logic there, basically. Atma Ramascha Manayo Nirgrantyapi Urukrame Kurvantya Hetu Kim Bhaktim Itam Bhuta Guno Harihi. Like just to prove that Rasalila is a transcendental pastime, activity. It is not a mundane activity. It is not a mundane performance by a man and woman of this world. So just like in cinemas there, half-naked women and men and women, they dance. So it is not like that. So just to prove that it is not like that, it is not or the relation between gopis and Krishna is not a relation between man and woman of this world. It is not a mundane sexual relationship. So to prove that, one argument we give is that why is that so many saintly, renounced devotees, those who were great sannyasis, renunciates, so completely given up everything material. So they also glorify this pastime of Krishna. So that is the argument which we give. For example, we see Madhvacharya, Ramanujacharya, they were all renounced, they were all great sannyasis. Madhvacharya took sannyas at the age of 10. So, although Shankaracharya is a Mayavadi, but still he has expressed his desire to always meditate on the pastimes of Krishna, on the bank of Yamuna, sitting on the bank of Yamuna. So he took sannyas at the age of 8, just 8 years old. And like that we see so many. In recent history, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Naishtika Brahmachari throughout his life. So in this way we see so many. Lord Chaitanya took sannyas. All these sannyasis, and in the history we see Narada Muni, Shukadeva Goswami, all these great personalities who were fully renounced, they also glorified Rasa Leela. That shows that Rasa Leela is not a mundane material activity. It's not, and the relation between gopis and Krishna is not a material, mundane sexual relationship. Otherwise, why these people who have given up sex life, means who have renounced from everything material, what to speak of sex? So, they never had sex in their life, not even once also. They must have even not thought about it in a whole. Of course, for criticizing that they must have. No, they are. And in Chaitanya Bhagavat, there is one verse in the very first chapter. All the great saintly persons have condemned relation between man and woman of this world, and they all have glorified Balaram's Rasa Leela with gopis. Of course, because there Vrindavan Das Thakur, he was describing Balaram's pastimes, and Balaram's Rasa Leela pastime is also described in Srimad Bhagavatam. So he is also Supreme Lord. So he is another second form of the Supreme Lord. So he also performs Rasa Leela. So in that verse it is said that all the great saintly persons have condemned sex life or association with women, but they have glorified Lord Balram's Rasa Leela with gopis. And in the purport, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he wrote a Gaudiya Bhashya commentary on Chaitanya Bhagavat. So he quotes at least some 160 verses in one purport. So wherever in the Shastra, especially from Bhagavatam and other places also, wherever in the Shastra, great saintly persons, wherever they have condemned association with women or opposite sex, that he has brought them together and he has presented there. So just to prove what Vrindavan Das Thakur says, that all the saintly persons, wherever Shukadeva Goswami, wherever Narada Muni, wherever Kapil Deva, and so many others, Navayogendras, all. And who is that? Jada Bharata also criticizes. Like that, wherever all these saintly persons have criticized, all those verses he quotes. So basically, to prove that, we say that one of the main arguments against mundane, ignorant people who criticize or create controversy about Rasa Leela, we give one of the arguments. There are many arguments, we can smash them down in many ways, but the point is, one of the arguments is that why the great saintly persons who were completely renounced, they glorified Rasa Leela. If they were also interested, they were not interested in sex. Why they are discussing? If Rasa Leela is also some mundane sexual appearance, sexual affair, then why would these people who were not at all interested in sex, they would glorify them? So that is one of the arguments. Anyway, like that, Lord's qualities and activities are transcendental. That is our point. Here in particular, it is told about sleep. That Lord's sleep is transcendental. So the word is used here, Yoga Nidra. And in the purport, Srila Prabhupada, he explains that so sleep is mode of ignorance. When we sleep, living and conditioned souls, generally conditioned souls, they are busy in 4 activities: eating, sleeping, mating and depending. Ahara Nidra Bhayam Aitunam cha Samanyametat Pashubir Naranam. So these 4 activities, all human beings and animals, they are engaged in this world: eating, sleeping, mating and depending. So ahara nidra bhayam aitunam cha. Generally, sex is considered as greatest bondage in this world among these 4 activities. So like we see in third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, the amount of bondage and suffering which is caused by sex is not caused by any other material activity. So that is the epitome of all material sense gratification. So everyone is pumsa striya mituni bhavam tayorato radaya granthi mahuhu atagraha kshetra sutapta vittair janasya mohoyam aham mameti. So everyone in this world is in sex conscious. Pumsa striya mituni bhava, that is called as mithuni bhava, sex conscious. Or we are trying to become Krishna conscious. But in the material world, everyone is in sex conscious. One day I will achieve lots of pleasure in sex. That's the whole goal of life. That's what is the focal point of all the material activities. If I am not getting sufficient enough happiness, then I have to somehow or other try to find that in a more perverted way, perverted way. Change sexual partners, or change the style of sex from heterosex to homosex, or any way, some way or the other way, try to get it. And especially when there is no dharmic principles to regulate that. So Varnashram Dharma, basically, Varnashram Dharma regulates. Ultimate purpose of Varnashram Dharma is to regulate this sex desire, all sense gratifications. Regulate our material nature, material conditioning. So when it is not there, then the focal point becomes sex life. So Prabhupada, he used to say that the focal point of all of the modern materialistic society is sex life. So sex is condemned. But that is one way to see. But among all four, sometimes it is also said that sleep is more dangerous. Why sleep is more dangerous, especially from devotional point of view? Because in sleep, one cannot think about Lord actually. Sometimes you may have dream of the Lord, that's nice. In dream you may think about Krishna. But that's not. But in general, in sleep, the amount of time when we sleep, that time we don't remember Krishna. So that is just completely wasted without remembrance of Krishna. So Goswamis, especially it is mentioned about them. Nidra hara vihara kadi vijitao. So they conquered over, first word comes is Nidra, then comes Ahara actually. So sometime because they also had these material bodies, so of course we don't see them as material because almost, so there is nothing material there. So but because when they appear in this world, so they have to accept body made up of material qualities. Sometime they would also rest, maybe in few days, 1 or 2 hours, something like that. So that time they would feel that, oh, we wasted this many hours without remembering Krishna. So opposed to such liberated soul, conditioned souls, they are busy in sleeping. They take pleasure in sleeping. Nidra hi rakte vyavaye na chabhayaya iyat chate haya rajan kutumva barane nava. Shukadeva Goswami, when he started speaking, he condemned conditioned souls. They spend their night in either sleeping or sex, and in the daytime they are busy maintaining so their family. So Shukadeva Goswami criticized it, materialistic family life. So Nidra hi akte. So he says, night is spent by sleeping. Sometimes people feel that, oh, by sleeping more and working less, I am enjoying life. That is the advantage. Prabhupada, he gave a very nice lecture on this verse in Delhi in 1972, in Delhi Pandal program. So Nidra hi rakte vyavaye na chapavaya. So he says that he observed in his early days in Calcutta, in his youth or youthhood days. So he observed that many the servants in government offices who were supposed to go and distribute some post or whatever. So they would go and sleep in that park, Albert Park, I think. So they would go and sleep in that. So Prabhupada, he explained their mentality. They think that without working they are getting salary, that is one gain. And another gain is they are sleeping, that is another gain. They were that consciousness of that, those peons. So in this way we think that sleep is pleasure actually, but it is actually suffering for the jiva, for living entity, because so much time is wasted by not engaging in spiritual activities, not engaging in activities of self-realization, and especially in bhakti, not remembering Krishna. So therefore, and even in sex you may remember Krishna, that's why this Garbhadan Samskar and all. So but while sleeping, there is hardly any chance that one will be able to remember Krishna. So therefore it is, from devotional point of view, it is said it is more dangerous. And in general, so it's a manifestation of mode of ignorance, and ignorance also, basically we forget ourselves, who are we, so what we are supposed to do in sleep. It is a tamoguna, symptom of tamoguna, sleep, laziness, ignorance, etc. So these are all tamasic activities, activity of mode of ignorance. But when Lord sleeps, it is called as yoga nidra. Always word yoga nidra word is used. Like we know that famous verse in Brahma Samhita, Yakaranarnava jale bhajatisma yoga nidram ananta jagadanda saroma kupa. So it is mentioned about Karanodakshai Vishnu. So who lies down in causal ocean. He is in sleeping condition. It is called as yoga nidra. So this yoga nidra, something is wrong. Connection is lost. In this there is no internet. Which one it is? Okay, so we were into. So it is said about Karanodakashai Vishnu, that or Mahavishnu he is called as, that he is lying down in causal ocean, Karanarnava Jala. So he is doing yoga nidra. This yoga nidra is like half. It is not completely. Eyes are not closed, half closed. And it is it's a transcendental activity of the Lord. So it is said about that, you see that there are three states of consciousness. One is Jagrati, second one is Swapna, and third one is Shushupti. So three states of consciousness. Jagrati means wakeful state. When we are awake, we are in Jagrati state of consciousness. Then when we are in dreaming or when we are in dream state, that is called as Swapna. And Shushupti is deep sleep, when we are in sleeping. So that is called as Shushupti. These are three states of consciousness. So basically in Jagrati state, both subtle body and gross body, both are active. And in Swapna, gross body is it's inactive, but subtle body is active. So, and in Shushupti, both subtle and gross bodies are inactive. And generally this switching of consciousness from one state to another state happens from Jagrati to Jagrati to Swapna and Swapna to Shushupti. And when we are then when we are going to sleep, and when we are awake, when we are becoming wakeful, so then we come from Sushupti to Swapna and Swapna to Jagrati state. So that's why people see dreams before sleeping, while just at the beginning of the sleep and at the end of the sleep. So often they remember the dreams, early morning dreams, when they are about to wake up, but they don't remember those. They remember them less actually. But that's what happens. So this is how switching from one state to another state it happens. But this Yoga Nidra is called, there is another fourth state of consciousness that is called as Turiya. So that is also called as Samadhi, another word for. So it is transcendental consciousness, it is. It is not, it doesn't come under three modes of material nature. So it is beyond three modes of material. So Yoga Nidra comes in three modes of, this Samadhi state or Turiya state it is. It doesn't come under, that Nidra of the Lord doesn't come under Jagrati, Swapna, Sushupti state of consciousness. Therefore, it is transcendental sleep it is. It is not material sleep of mode of ignorance it is. So, then sometimes Yoga Nidra is also equated with Yoga Maya. We see in the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, when Yoga Maya is the internal potency of the Lord, she was ordered by Krishna for transferring Baladeva or Balaram Sankarshana from the womb of Devaki to the womb of Rohini. So there it is mentioned that instead of using Yoga Maya, she transferred Sankarshana from the womb of Devaki to the womb of Rohini. It is Yoga Nidra is used there actually. So that is one evidence that how sometime Yoga Nidra is, Yoga Maya is addressed as Yoga Nidra. Or in other words, we can also understand that Yoga Nidra is Yoga Maya. It is under the influence of Yoga Maya. And of course, she was Devaki and Rohini, they were all in Yoga Nidra. And they were in transcendental sleep. So, in this way, Lord's sleep is not material, it is transcendental. Arjuna is called as Gudakesha. Gudaka Isha. Isha means controller. Gudaka means sleep or ignorance. One who has conquered over sleep or ignorance is called as Gudakesha. So it is told about Arjuna that he never slept. He would practice his archery day and night. Even in night also he would practice archery. So in this way and particularly Prabhupada, he gives the significance of Gudakesha in first chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Because of his constant association with Krishna, he had conquered over sleep and ignorance. So now the point is that those who are associating with Krishna, they become free from ignorance and sleep. How is that Lord sleeping is ignorance? Or it is a material activity. It should be transcendental. Those were. So Prabhupada also he said that how to reduce sleeping, how to conquer over sleep. By spiritual culture, in one place in Srimad Bhagavatam he says, by spiritual culture, one can overcome sleep or ignorance, he says. Of course, sleep is also, because we have material body, we need to sleep, but it should be regulated. So Prabhupada says at least 6 hours sleep is required. Because in Bhagavad Gita 6th chapter it is mentioned that one cannot become yogi if he overeats or oversleeps, or if he undereats and undersleeps. So therefore to become yogi one should be regulated. In fact, if you don't sleep, you will become mad. So in the third chapter of Bhagavatam it is mentioned, that third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam it is mentioned, sleep nourishes intelligence. So if you don't sleep enough, then what will happen? We will become mad. But too much sleeping is also, it will not nourish ignorance, intelligence. It will make us dull and lazy and crazy also. Again, that is also, mode of goodness is also results in madness, right? So in this way, of course it is suffering also, sleep is. But we should know that for spiritual advancement, we should eventually, as far as possible, we should reduce sleep. Then, so anyway, my point was that Arjuna, he conquered over sleep and ignorance just by associating with Krishna. So therefore, Krishna should be free from ignorance of sleep, or his sleeping should be transcendental and beyond the material qualities. So like we saw that, in the beginning I mentioned that why would these great saintly persons glorify Krishna's pastime of Ras Leela, renounced saintly persons? So similarly here, Janaloka, residents of Janaloka are also, what they are doing? They are offering prayers to the Lord. If Lord is in ignorance, why they would offer prayers? What's the benefit they are going to get by offering prayers to the Lord? Actually, by offering prayers to the Lord, they are going to become free from material ignorance. So if Lord's sleeping is also ignorance, why they would offer? In this verse it is mentioned there. Stuyamano janalayai. So Stuyamana, they offered prayers, janalayai. So those who are residents of Janaloka, headed by Bhrigu. Here in the purport, Prabhupada mentioned Bhrigu Rishi is the leader of residents of Janaloka. There are others also. In Janaloka, all these 4 Kumaras, they reside in Janaloka, and there are many other saintly persons. They are always busy in cultivating spiritual knowledge, which is opposed to material ignorance and sleep. So why such people, especially Janaloka people, they are into jnana, into philosophy. They are always discussing philosophy. They are nothing. Completely their time is just spent in discussing philosophy. So residents of Janaloka, they are philosophers. But they discuss philosophy of Krishna consciousness. So in this way, such personalities who are so philosophical, who are free from ignorance, almost they are completely free from all material ignorance. So they are fully situated in knowledge, because they are always discussing knowledge there. Why such people are? In fact, they are conditioned, or they are attached to knowledge there. Such people go to Janaloka, those who are attached to knowledge and philosophy, or those who are Jnana Mishra Bhaktas, they go to Janaloka. Jnana Mishra Bhakti. There is Shuddha Bhakti, there is Karma Mishra Bhakti, there is Jnana Mishra Bhakti, there is Yoga Mishra Bhakti, there is Vikarma Mishra Bhakti. So there in Janaloka, so devotees are mixed with knowledge. Their devotion is mixed with knowledge. Or they are always busy. They take pleasure in knowledge. That is what their pleasure is. That's all. Their happiness is. Why would such people who are almost free from ignorance, so they would be interested in glorifying? Of course, not everyone is. Everyone, like I am using the word almost. Some are fully transcendental also. So they are pure devotees also, fully transcendental. But generally it is dominated by Jnana Mishra Bhaktas. So they are almost free from ignorance. Why they would offer prayers to the Lord who is in ignorance? Because therefore the logic here is Lord is not in ignorance. His sleep is not ignorance. That is the point. So just to end our discussion, I would like to quote from 7th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, from the prayers of Prahlada. Prahlada, while offering prayers to the Lord, he glorified Lord sleeping actually. So generally we glorify other activities of the Lord, pastimes of the Lord. Prahlada is glorifying Lord sleeping also. So text number, so Canto 7, Chapter 9, text number 32. You want to share that if you wish for others? Okay, I'll read it. Okay. न्यस्येधमात्मनि जगद्विलयाम्बुमध्ये शेषात्मना निजसुखानुभवो निरीहः योगेन मिलितदृक् आत्मनिपीतनिद्रास् तूर्ये स्थितो न तु तमो न गुणांश्च युङ्क्षे. So the translation is like this. O my Lord, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, after the annihilation, the creative energy is kept in you, who appear to sleep with half-closed eyes. Actually, however, you do not sleep like an ordinary human being, for you are always in transcendental stage, beyond the creation of the material world, and you always feel transcendental bliss. As Karanodakashayi Vishnu, you thus remain in your transcendental status, not touching material objects. Although you appear to sleep, this sleeping is distinct from sleeping in ignorance. Turya sthito. That why Turya. I was explaining the state of Turya. Or Samadhi it is called as. Yogis. So they are in Samadhi. So Yogi Samadhi and Yoga Nidra are equivalent. Turya sthito natu tamonu gunamscha yunkshe. Last line is particularly relevant here. That Lord is situated in Turya state. He is not under the influence of tamoguna, sleeping. So in this way, Lord sleeping is transcendental, like any other activities and qualities of the Lord. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Any questions and comments? One point I wanted to discuss which I forgot actually. There is one verse in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. I often keep quoting that. Asya mahatasya bhutasya nishvasitam rigveda yajurveda samaveda tarvangi rasa itihasa purana. So basically that verse says that Vedas are breathings of the Lord. When Lord breathes out, all the Vedic mantras they come. So generally Mayavadis, what they do? They always misinterpret Vedic statements, and they want to misinterpret in such a way that they want to deride Lord more and more, misrepresent Him. In fact, very offensive way they present the Vedic statements. So in this commentary, Mayavadi's comment on this verse stating that Vedic statements they were breathed out by the Lord in ignorance, in semi-consciousness, in half-sleep state, like that. In an offensive way they write. Basically they will discredit Vedas. So like that, they always discredit. I wanted to explain this point more in detail, but it's okay. How they like in another Chandogya Upanishad, I think, that Kapyasam Pundarikaksham, that shloka comes. That eyes of the Lord are like, they misrepresent. Kapyasam means they misinterpret by saying that the hinder part of the Kapi means monkey. So that hinder part of the monkey would be like red color. So similarly it is like red color. But actually the real meaning of that verse is that eyes of the Lord are just like the petals of lotus, red lotus flower actually, lotus flower. Because kapyasa means that which grows by drinking water. Ka means so bhumirapo nalo vayu. Apa. So apa means kappa. So that word is divided like apa means water. So kapya means that which grows by drinking water. That is lotus. So eyes of the Lord are just like lotus petals. But these rascal Mayavadis, they misinterpret just like in a very offensive way. Similarly, this verse from Brihadaranyaka Upanishad is also misinterpreted, saying they give such very offensive meanings to Vedic statements. Therefore, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says that they are more rascals, more dangerous than those who don't accept Vedas like Buddhists and Jain actually. So in the name of the Vedas they misrepresent Lord and devotional service. So anyway, in half sleep state, but they don't know that sleeping of the Lord is also transcendental. So that is rascal offensive Mayavadis. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Any questions, comments?
Lord Canto 9, chapter text 20. This about sleep only. When he is sleeping, Prabhupada says that when he is sleeping, some people imagine how can the Lord sleep peacefully on the water? How is it possible then? Example, that fishes and all, they are doing all eating, sleeping, that why Lord sleep activities are all transcendental.
Yeah, very nice quote. Here it is, Madhusudan Prabhu quotes. 3.9.20 verse says that some people may argue that how can Lord sleep in the now, because you see he is sleeping in Pralaya Jala actually. So everywhere water is there. Everywhere up to the Swargaloka, everything is covered by water, and Lord is peacefully sleeping in Yoga Nidra, and residents of Janaloka are offering. So people with mundane logic, especially in modern days, everything has to be understood empirically by material experiments and by logic. So they think that, like especially in India, you see everything should be scientific, as the science is the authority. So last 200 years, the so-called followers like this Arya Samaj people, so they started interpreting Vedic statement scientifically as the science is the authority and Veda has to adjust to modern science. So no, modern science should support Vedic statements, not that Veda will adjust to the modern scientific understanding, as though whatever we imagine is everything is right. So, or whatever our experience and perception is there, it is right. So like that. So these foolish Indians, they rate science very much. All the public discourse, whatever is going on, public discourse and debate is going on, everywhere you have to quote science as authority, which is nonsense. Nonsense means it cannot be perfect, it cannot be complete. So science is not the ultimate authority. Veda is the ultimate authority. So authoritative, because Veda is called a Shabda Pramana. Shabda Pramana is defined as Apta Vakyam Shabdaha. Apta Vakyam means Apta Vakya. Apta means what? Apta is, another meaning of Apta is relative. Relatives. relative, and in English also you see reliable, they come from one word only. So apta vakyam means reliable, authoritative statement is called as shabda. Reliable, authoritative. Generally, relatives are what? They are reliable. You can trust them. They are relatives. Generally. So apta vakyam means reliable, authoritative statement. So reliable, authoritative verbal testimony is called as Shabda Pramana, if you want to define it. So ultimately, Veda is the reliable, because they are the words of Lord Himself, statements of the Lord Himself. Just like Bhagavad Gita is reliable because it's coming from Krishna. So anyway, empirical, logical, so-called rationalists, they think that how can someone sleep on the water, that too such a turbulent water, Pralaya Jala is turbulent, very turbulent. So Prabhupada, he says that there are so many aquatics who are eating, sleeping, mating, everything they are doing in the water only. So in this way we have to hear from right sources, then only we will understand. Okay, any other comments? Or
sequence in which you go Jagrati to Swapna to Sushupti and then reverse. So sometimes it is also said that whenever we have dreams, it is considered to be bad sleep. Like it is that. So but we every time we pass through that stage.
okay. So question here is that dream state is not a good sleep, it is a bad sleep, in the sense that we don't get sufficient rest in that, because mind is, subtle body is active and only gross body is lying down. So therefore it is not a complete rest, it is, dream state means. The more you dream, then you have to sleep extra to get rest body. So now if we have to go from Jagrati to Sushupti, Sushupti to Jagrati, Jagrati to Swapna and Swapna to Sushupti, every time if we have to pass through, how then what is the hope of getting a good sleep? That is the question here. So the point is not necessary that the period or duration of that Swapna has to be long every time. You can switch quickly from one state to another state. So it depends on your day-to-day activities. So generally it is said that those who overeat, they will dream more. So if it depends on your eating, like that many other, if your condition is very disturbed, mental condition also, psychological condition. So all these things are there. So good brahmachari means as soon as he lies down, he should get sleep. Prabhupada, he said. Whole day he is busy serving Krishna, busy doing service to Guru and Krishna. As soon as he lies down, he gets sleep. That is a sign of good brahmachari. Anything else? Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Vancha kalpatarabhyasya kripa sindhubhya patitanam pavan Vaishnavebhyo namo namah.